In the world of the Transformers, the Autobots are generally regarded as, well, the good guys, right? But that doesn't mean it's always an easy job. Being the good guys is sometimes a little dirty, a little difficult, even a little dastardly. And when you gotta do things that are a little morally questionable as a good guy, who do you call if you're an Autobot? You call the Wreckers. And there's a ton of them. They do the dirtiest jobs that the Autobots kind of don't like to do. They're one of those groups that you call on, but you don't like to have to call on. Which led to this week's list. Fans were asked, you guys voted, and now we have the results. For the top 10 Wreckers in all of Transformers, that'll be our topic this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. Lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's down in the description below, also in the description below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And what can I say? The Wreckers are not a group that I know real well, because really the crux of their fiction has been in the comics, and I'm not a big comics guy. But even I realize the core of what and who they are. Even I realize the importance of them. They are one of those, like, almost, I don't want to say it's a clandestine group, because they're not, but they're one of those that, like, you know exists, but you don't talk about it, you know? Like, if you're like a Star Trek fan, then you probably know Section 31. If it's the Decepticons, then we're talking about really the Mayhem Attack Squadron, right? They're the worst of the worst. Well, the Wreckers are the guys like, man, you know what? Like, we need some kind of dastardly morally questionable stuff, maybe dastardly and underhand stuff, done. And the only ones we can count on to do it are the Wreckers. So that's kind of where they fall in the pantheon of fandom. We have three honorable mentions. These include Topspin, of course, being one of the jump starters, as well as Rack and Ruin, which I suppose technically could be counted as two Wreckers, I suppose, kind of. And from Transformers Prime, Miko, who became an honorary Wrecker after she was wearing the Apex armor and was really quite effective in it, to be honest with you. So she became an honorary Wrecker in Transformers Prime. That was one of the fun things here, is that there are so many iterations of the Wreckers with so many members from so many continuities that the votes could have come from anywhere. So yeah, the honorable mentions, Topspin, Miko, and Rack and Ruin. Man, that's so good, so cool, but they did not make the list. Who did? What did? You know what we're going to do? We're going to kick things off as we always do with number 10, Burst. Coming in at number 10 is an oldie, but a goodie, literally, by way of Cop. Now, when I think of the Wrecker Cop, honestly, I tend to think more along the lines of the body type of, say, the Titans Return, that was a little more boxy and squared off, or even the earlier generations. I don't tend to think of this particular body type, but nevertheless, I tend to think of one of the, like, Sergeant Cup, you know, more grizzled veteran with his Saigar and stuff, right? Like, if that's your version of Cup, then that's kind of the Wrecker Cup, right? And we know that Cup is old. We know he falls apart, he puts himself back together. He's seen it all, he's done it all. And while he doesn't really spend a lot of time talking about being a Wrecker, we all know that he has done some of the dirtiest of jobs for the Autobots in the name of heroics and in the name of what's right, or at least what he believes to be right. Cup, absolutely, Sergeant Cup, at that, takes the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9 was a bit of a surprise, because it's debatable sometimes how long this character was a Wrecker, or if they were ever actually an official Wrecker. Number 9 is Inferno, who got a sudden flurry of a ton of votes from a couple of different locations, and I was like, wow, okay. If you know the Marvel Comics continuity, then in Firebug he goes with 2 wreckers. I can't remember who they were right now, and they basically stop a bunch of Firebugs. And then later on, it's suggested there that like he's a friend of the wreckers, but not a wrecker. But then later on, after some other associations and heroics in the issue that I think was titled Survivors, it's mentioned that he's a former wrecker or an ex-wrecker. So somewhere between the Firebugs and Survivor, it seems like he was a wrecker and then no longer a wrecker. A lot of people kind of go with the idea that just before Time Wars, he became a wrecker and he kind of left the group after Time Wars. I am explaining there what people said to me. I'm not familiar with any of those stories. Not familiar with the heroics of this guy, but those that are familiar and those that remember his role in helping the wreckers and being a wrecker, even if short, will say, man, oh man, one of the most heroic guys on the team. Who am I to argue? Enough people feel that way that this guy took the number 9 slot. Number 8 is very clear. It's Ultra Magnus. And you know what? Ultra Magnus is, again, got a couple of different body types. He's associated with the wreckers in a ton of different fiction. But I think a lot of the voters, a lot of the people that have some familiarity with the wreckers, a lot of times point to the Transformers Prime / aligned continuity version of Ultra Magnus as a wrecker. Probably could have used that, remember that deluxe War for Cybertron Fall of Cybertron version of this guy? That's a great Ultra Magnus too, that little deluxe. Nevertheless, this isn't mine, this belongs to one of the scraplets. I digress. In Transformers Prime, for example, he is either, I can't remember if he's the leader or a former leader of the wreckers. He's often in a lead role, and he takes duty seriously. He takes authority seriously. A lot of times he's inspirational, he's heroic, he's by the book. He, in his own way, cares very deeply about his team and don't want them to make foolish choices, don't want them to take unnecessary risks because he cares about them. Even though a lot of the wreckers would say, you know what, he's too stuffy, he's too stodgy, he's not a true blue wrecker. If you look inside Ultra Magnus's mind, he would probably say he's more wrecker than any of them because he'll do any battle, any fight, and show his bravery, but he'll also look out for everyone under his command. A soldier through and through, and he'll do what has to be done. What more could you want from the ideal wrecker? And Ultra Magnus takes the number 8 slot. Okay, so bear with me a little bit here at number 7, because number 7 is this guy, kind of. It's the Transformers Prime Wheeljack. So it's this character with this body type. Shockingly, neither I nor my son have the deluxe Wheeljack anymore, and it's weird. We had a Beast Hunters one, but the arms and the hands really, that wasn't good. They got really mushed up and ate up in the wrists. The ball joints at the wrist did, and they fell out. It wasn't good. It really wasn't good. But it's this body type, even with these swords, but it's Wheeljack. Anyway, I digress. Transformers Prime Wheeljack is not the kind of inventor and creator that we know from G1. It looked like Wheeljack, but he was a lot more hardcore. He was a warrior, he was a battler, he was a swordsman. He liked the fight, the conflict, he liked the heat of battle. Transformers Prime Wheeljack, an ideal addition to the wreckers, because not only will he do what has to be done, but he thrives on it. How can you argue with Prime Wheeljack taking the number 7 slot? I think number 6 is one of the most interesting additions to the list by way of Perceptor. Specifically the IDW iteration of Perceptor, though I would also argue that it could be the Prime Wars Trilogy version. Because in both instances, he loses an eye, if not both eyes, and he becomes a sniper. It's so crazy. But it kind of fits because he has the microscope, he could scope in, he could get very tight on opponents, on targets. He is not typically thought of as a combatant, he's thought of as, usually, a scientist, an inventor, a builder, a creator. Not as a combatant and a warrior. But you can't argue with the finesse that's required and the skill that's required for the use of this long sniper rifle. This is an add-on kit, by the way. I love this thing. Yeah, Perceptor. The danger that you may never see coming takes the number 6 slot. And now a hush falls over the crowd because we've reached the ever-coveted, ever-popular halfway mark. And at the halfway mark today, we have one of my favorites, probably one of yours, Whirl. Look, I'm not even into the comics, and I get that Whirl has not been really in very much fiction outside of comics at all, if any. There might have been a Cyberverse version that I feel like was female, if I'm not mistaken. But for those that know the classic, the true blue Whirl, I think most would probably agree with me on this, that this guy is kind of, if you take out the fourth wall breaking, this guy is kind of the Transformers answer to Deadpool. I'm not gonna lie though, in Universal Collision I might do a little bit of fourth wall breaking with him, but he's wild, he's chaos, he's chaotic. He will go in guns blazing, hands blazing. He doesn't care, he loves the heat of battle, he loves going in and being all out blitz and crazy. Whirl, Transformers answer to Deadpool. How can you not love this guy? He takes the number 5 slot. I also think number 4 is very interesting this particular week because number 4 is Bulkhead. This is the Legacy Bulkhead. It has a couple of upgrade kits on it, and this guy's pretty good. My favorite is still the first edition Bulkhead, but this guy's good. I think he's a little more animated Bulkhead though, which, you know what, we may talk about a little bit more through this week because this will be Animated Bulkhead week. Tomorrow's review will be Voyager Animated Bulkhead. Fridays will be the leader class, and we'll kind of talk about this guy a little bit, just touch on it a little bit through. Nevertheless, Bulkhead is big, burly, bulky, best friends with Jackie. He is somebody that you definitely want in battle because he's very brave. He's also very strong and very capable. Bulkhead, yeah baby, takes the number 4 slot. And now we are into the top 3, and at number 3 is a character that a lot of people say is the first Wrecker, the original Wrecker, the essence of a Wrecker. Everything that there is to know about a Wrecker is encapsulated in the character of Roadbuster. And yeah, even the Generations one here was loaded down with accessories and blasters because Roadbuster lives for battle. All he knows is battle. He is not only the quintessential soldier, but his expertise is battle, so much so that a lot of Autobots worry that when and if the war ever ends, what's he gonna do? He doesn't do anything else. He doesn't thrive on anything else. He doesn't fit in anywhere else except in the heat of battle. A perfect Wrecker. Though even I wonder, when and if the day comes that the Wreckers are no longer needed, what becomes of this loyal, capable, strong soldier? Time will tell, I guess, if the fiction ever goes there. But yeah, the first of the Wreckers maybe? Roadbuster takes the number 3 slot. Number 2 goes all the way back really to G1, though some people did use the IDW iteration of this character for the vote. And either way you cut it, it's Impactor. Impactor, widely regarded as the first leader of the Wreckers, widely regarded as inspirational, as strong, as fearless, as fearsome, as heroic, as self-sacrificing, as kind of everything that you think of for Optimus Prime in terms of the general Autobots. A lot of Wreckers hold this guy in that sort of high esteem as well. He did a lot of heroic things. He's done a lot of heroic things, and I have often wondered if the praise and adulation that the Wreckers give him is fully warranted. Was he a great enough leader to warrant all of that affection, or is it just that Impactor's legend looms large? Whichever one it is, it doesn't really matter because he's a symbol of the Wreckers. He's a symbol of everything that's right about the Wreckers, of everything that's good about the Wreckers, and of everything that's necessary about the Wreckers. Emrat Zeron really loved this guy, and so did the fans, enough that he was able to take the number 2 slot. And now here we are at the very tippy top once again at number 1. And I believe that number 1, which won, by the way, by a wide margin again. We've had a few weeks where number 1 has really won by a wide margin. I gotta believe it's because of the sheer notoriety, popularity of the character overall, because it's Springer. This is the 86 Springer, and it's not the earlier Generations one, because a lot of people that voted actually voted for the IDW iteration of Springer, which was represented by the 2013 Generations Voyager. By the way, that's still regarded as one of the best molds they ever did in all of Transformers, and I agree. But Springer has been a wrecker in a lot of continuities. And you know what? He's brash, he's bold, he's a loudmouth, he's brave, he's strong, he's fearsome, he's fearless, he's capable, he's all of the things that Impactor is, with bravado and notoriety and sarcasm thrown in as well. That said, he also struggles a lot when he finally becomes a leader of the Wreckers, because just like Hot Rod became Rodimus and tried to live up to the legend of Optimus Prime, he always tries to live up to the legend of Impactor. And as excellent of a wrecker and as excellent of a wrecker leader as he tends to be regarded, he within himself never feels like he's as good as Impactor. Now, why am I holding the 86? This sword here, I want to note it, I want to touch on it now because a bunch of people have pointed it out to me and said it wasn't only in a commercial, he used this particular sword when he had a one-on-one battle with Wreck-Gar in the 86 movie. And admittedly, I skimmed through the 86 movie on a major fast forward just to kind of see where some of the bits and pieces that came with this guy were. I didn't see him using the sword in any battle. I probably missed the battle. Like I said, it was on fast forward. Do I care? No. Does it matter? No. Does it change the scores? No. I know this sword from a commercial. If you know it from that scene in the movie, then great. Dandy. He already has a sword. The dude simply didn't need this. Is it cool to have it? Yeah, I guess. But this is the epitome of kind of a waste of money and plastic because I didn't need it. You got one there. Anyway, I digress. Number one best wrecker, and I tend to agree with it, Springer. And that's 10 down to 1 once again, my friends. Other ones that had votes on the list, there weren't a lot more that had votes, honestly. Tap Out had votes, Iron Fist did, Twin Twist, of course. Top Spin had been on the honorable mentions. Toxitron, because in some continuities he forms the torso of Wreckage, and Wreckage is a wrecker. It's really, really weird how Toxitron gets roped in there, but why not? RC, I assume that was a vote for Prime RC, but possibly IDW RC. I don't know if she was a wrecker or not. I know the Prime one was, though, I believe. Trailbreaker, interestingly enough, is kind of noted as, if not being a wrecker, as being associated with the wreckers. And I like this one. I believe that this also came from probably IDW with the human character, Verity Carlo. Them and no more this time. That was all the votes. That was, I could literally, for the first time ever, I covered everybody. Those that ranked, the honorable mentions, and those that didn't get enough votes to rank at all. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you are at it, hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and don't forget, not for a moment, not for a second, that you do make a difference in the world. Whether you feel it or not, you really do. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.